Okay, for this next video, I went ahead and incorporated those 3 videos I was going to do into one. Uh, I decided to scratch the leather paint. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of doing paint, but if I'm going to do paint on leather, I'm going to do something a lot more intricate, because that's the whole point of using paint, is you can do a fairly elaborate design on leather. If you're going to do something simple, you might as well stick with dye. That's my opinion. Okay, everyone, I've got this piece of leather that I'm going to use to do what's called the pocket face of the pattern that we created before. And this leather here, if you look at it, is roughly 3 millimeters, which is actually not bad. In fact, it might be a little bit thick, but it'll do the trick. So I'm going to do 2 of these to make sure that I have one that I can actually use at the end of this, because that's part of the challenge of doing this, is making sure by the end of it that you have one that you can actually use. Sometimes that's not the way it works out. Move this camera over here. So I'm going to start off by squaring off one edge here. This is a straight line right along here, right along the line, so I don't have to worry too much about that. So I just have to square off the end, so I have a nice 90-degree angle here, and then I can approach the other pieces with that in mind. So I line it up on the line over here, put my metal ruler down, and then just cut across. Try to do as straight of a line as you can. I always end up with a little curly Q on the end, unfortunately. Just cut that little bit off. Okay? So here's my pocket face. What I'm going to do, this is too narrow to, well, it's actually just right on the nose for the pocket face size right here. So I could just do one right here and be done with it, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you can see it's 3 of these, which comes to 1 3/8 by 3 3/4. So since I know this line here is where it's going to run, I'm going to go ahead and literally just cut right along that line, like so. And since I know that 3 places are about the same size, I'm going to literally create the other one right along the same line, just 3 squares down. So now I end up with my 2 pieces. Right there. So I'm going to make sure that I get these the right length for my pocket face. This one's just dead on, as you can see. And this one is a little bit off, but it won't be a problem because I'm going to do the pocket face on this side, which is the narrower part right here. So I just have to trim this little edge right here. Now what I'll do is I'll take the camera and move it over to the cutting board. And I'm going to round off the edge here. And I'm going to use, for this, a 1/4. So I'm going to get my handy dandy Chinese knife. I don't know why I was like saying that, it's kind of funny, but and I'm going to put it right on the edge there. Move this camera in a little bit, like that. Zoom in. And I'm going to square it right to the quarter. I like using a quarter just because it tells me they're easy to come by and they're all uniform. You never have to worry about it. And since I don't have any of those professional tools to do it with, it just makes sense. So I'm going to round off this edge. Like so. Do the same thing to the other one. Three cuts basically does it. It's a little bit oblong, I believe is the term. But when you take the sanding disc to it, it won't matter. Because you're going to end up sanding the edge anyway. Like so. So now I'll take my sounding stick, I guess you could call it. Let me zoom out on this so you can see this. Now I'm just going to sand the edge right there to get a nice round edge to it. There you have it. There we go. Sand the edge. If you're worried about it being perfect, you can fold it over and just check and see how perfect it is. And you can see there, that's pretty dang close. In fact, if you're worried, you could always just sand it together, like so, to make sure that it's the same on both sides. Most people don't have an eye to really see that there is a difference. So I'm going to do the other one. This time I'm going to just fold it from in the beginning and sand it together right off the bat, like so. So it has a uniform round on both sides, like so. And it saves you from doing the same thing twice. A little more efficient. So there you have two pieces. Okay, next thing we're going to do is make a line on the edge that I can stamp on. Now I should warn you, this doesn't work with this chromium leather very well, unfortunately. But it's the only one that I have, the only edger. I just need to have a general idea where that line is, and I'm fine. For some reason, the other types of leather are not a problem, but this one does not like to do it. And I'm going to do it all the way around. Same thing on this one. It just gives me a general idea of the line. Truth be told, when it comes down to actually doing the cutting, if it gets clogged up, then just clear it with a pen, because it's clogged up right now. There we go. Okay, finish up this side. Okay, so I've got my general line. Next thing to do is to stamp the holes. And I'm going to put this camera a little bit closer so you can see this. because I have a tendency to block the holes here. So I'm going to set it about yay distance away. Let me zoom in. A little bit more out. There you go. Right along that line. Roll it up like so. Try to hold it in place. And there you go. There's your first set of holes. Do the same thing to this side. Roll it up onto that line. There's your other side. I'll worry about the round when I actually get these two lines in place. In fact, let me do them now so I can show you. When you get to the round area, you're going to have to use a smaller punch like this. And just do one hole at a time. You'll take one of them and slide it into the other hole and position the next one in the line. And just slowly work around what I call the round, like so. Then once you get to a place where it's basically a straightaway, then you can get more set, and then I'm at the straightaway. So that's how you do the round. You can see the round's not bad there. If you want to adjust this, you can to accommodate the round. Do the other side, same way. Move into the round like so. Lift it up. Try to keep it straight. Punch down, not to the side. Otherwise, if you're not careful, you can punch out the side of your leather, and then you end up with a hole you can't use, and it doesn't look right. Do that until you get to the round. Or through the round, I should say. Like so. Now that I'm straight, you'll do the same thing here. You'll put one of these at the very end into one of the holes and then drop down into the line. That way you're literally just continuing the stitching holes down the line. Now I do, it's a good idea to do, to alternate so that when you get to the end you can literally just connect the two together. That way it looks seamless. Because that's what you're shooting for. You want to look like it just worked out perfectly. And you'll see right there, that's nearly perfect. I'll zoom in so you can see it here. Hopefully it'll focus. It's not focusing. There you go. See, these two lines are connecting up beautifully. So you punch one into each hole and then just punch the center. That gives you a nice uniform stitching pattern on the edge, like so. Okay? Do the other one, same way. Trying to be careful. Take your time. You don't want to have to redo these, like I've had to do in the past. Make sure your line's straight. Do the round. When you get used to doing it, you can do it a little bit faster. So there we go. Now I've got the same set on both sides again. I'll do one side, do the other side, connect the two, just like so. As you see, these holes will go right into the other holes, and I will connect the other two. See if I can do this the other way so I can show you. Trying to do it left-handed doesn't really work. And there you have it, see? So you have literally the same look on both sides. You got your two pieces to work with. Okay? Now that I've got these pieces done, now is a good time to bevel the edge. This is a little bit softer, so it may not work very well, my beveler, because I don't exactly have the best quality beveler here. I'm going to try to do this and hope that it actually does it. Consequence of sanding is you end up with a puffed out edge. See, this isn't the ideal beveler because it's just not as sharp as I would like. That go in through there just to clean up the edge a little bit. This is the problem with using the cheaper Chinese bevelers. You end up with something that doesn't do very well on the softer leather in particular. But I don't need to do much. I just need to clean up some of the sharp edges, like there, just a little bit. Okay, once you got that done, it'll be the next step. See if I can get those straight. There we go. And I'll set up for that now. Right, I'm going to go ahead and burnish these edges, and I just use water when I'm doing this. I wet the edge like so, and then I use a Dremel just because it's too much of a pain to do it any other way. That just makes it a little bit more solid on the edge. I'll be dyeing that black, so it doesn't matter if it has like a burned look to it. It's not a big deal. There we go. It makes a nice edge. I forgot to bevel this, so I'll bevel this real quick. It just rounds the edge a little bit, is all it does. Now I'm going to do both sides on this, since this is going to be the actual flat portion. Like so. Same thing, get it wet, and then there we go. Now I have a nice firm edge. I'm going to do the other one. May as well bevel this real quick first. You just have to round it a little bit. It's not like it's a major importance, in my opinion. I mean, some might disagree, but... And I'll wet this top first. The one advantage of using white, you can actually see what it does to the edge. It sort of cooks it a little bit, burns it, and that makes it stronger. Or it keeps it from looking frayed. You gotta wet this. If you don't wet it, sometimes it doesn't work right. So I'm gonna wet that. Okay, so now these pieces are ready for the next process, and that is actually stamping the lettering, which is what I'll do next. Right, so on the lettering, I created this little template here, so I know roughly where these letters need to go in order to look right with the lines that are going to be in the center. You can see here, I'm going to have a line right here, a line right here, and there's going to be two letters here, three of them in the middle, and then two on the side. So that's how I'm going to do the lettering. So what I'll do is I'll take a marking pencil. It doesn't actually create, it just creates like a dot, and just lightly touch in each hole a little dot. Just a little hole, a little dot in there. Something that's not going to be terribly noticeable, but you'll be able to see where it is when you do the lettering. And you'll see if you look closely, you can see the little dots right there. Okay? Do the same thing on the other one. Getting it nice and lined up. If you do them too strongly, then you run the risk of them showing up. So I've got those worked out. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my letters. Here's my post. Right here.
Hey, honey.
Let me zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to take out all the letters I need, and I'm going to put them in a row, in order, so that I don't get them mixed up. And I'm going to do the name Ireland. So I've got them all here in a row, and I'm going to now start stamping these. Now the way I've set these up, when you look at a letter like this is a 1/4 inch letter stamp made by Tandy. You'll see that they have like a little mark on the bottom that tells you the orientation of the letter. But I have a hard time seeing it, so I've actually marked in black where that mark is, so I know where the orientation of the letter is. It doesn't matter with I, it's one of the few that's actually, technically it's an ambigram. It's the same no matter which way you put it. But with some of the other letters, it does matter. And you'll see the little dot here. I'll get my little marking pen. The first dot is literally right here. So I'm going to take my, my letter stamp, I'm going to match up about the center of that and slide it over. And try to line it up with that in the center. Try to get it as close as I can get it. Because if your letters are off, it's going to be noticeable. Let me get my hammer, easy access. Let me do this. Okay, so I slide over the dot like so. Try to keep it in line. Now you can put something there if you want. It's not a bad way to go if you want to actually clamp like a little wooden thing there to keep the letter straight. You can do that. In fact, I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to move my metal bar out just a little bit, like so. And then you can clamp it to the end of where you're going to stamp like this if you want to do that. And just use a little piece of wood. In this case, it's just a popsicle stick. And that way you have the letters, you just have to match it up to the wood. And I'll show you how to do this because it's a good thing to know how to do. I need to clamp that down. Make sure it's all lined up. Okay. You just come in a little bit more. Right, like so. And then I will clamp it. There. I'm actually clamping it to my cutting block on both sides. And then you have something to shift it to, like so. So you can do that if you want. I normally just do it by eye, but 2 good solid hits is usually enough. Any more than that, you make it too deep, and if it gets too deep, you run into problems. So I'm just pushing it back to the popsicle stick, trying to line it up here, like so. 2 hits. Got my E now. This one's going to be a little more offset because there's a line that runs right in the center for the flag. So line it up with this. 2 hits. Okay, my L now. You got the little dot there. I'm literally lining up my black line with the dot and then just sliding it down to the wood. That's how I'm doing this. 2 hits. Same thing with the A. My little dot's right there. I'm sliding it right down to the wood. 2 hits. My N. And you got another line that's going to run right in the center of these 2 right here. So my dot's a little bit more offset, a little more to the side. Do the same thing. You got your little dot there. You line up with the black mark. Move it down. 2 hits. This is going to run a little bit close to that edge, so probably should give it a little bit more room. 2 hits, like so. So, there you have it. Those are your 3 letters stamped in place. And as I said, you're going to have a line that runs right in through there. And you have a little bit of a mark there from the popsicle stick, but you can literally just smooth it out with your finger like that. Okay? And then I'll do the other one. I'll do the same thing to this one. The only thing is I'm going to do this one by eye and show you the difference. So you can see what you can expect if you try to do it by eye. It's virtually impossible to do it without screwing it up when you do it by eye. But I'm going to show it anyway. 2 hits. Two hits. See that? It's already off a little bit. It's just extremely difficult to do it straight if you don't use it, what I would call a jig. Because that little popsicle stick is basically a redneck version of a jig. 2 hits. what I'm doing is just taking this little dot here and I'm moving my mark down on that dot, and I'm literally lining up the edge of this with a little dot over here at the end, and I'm lining that black up with this dot there, and that's how I'm trying to orient it correctly. 2 hits. Two hits. Two hits. Two hits. So there you have it. You can see the difference. Let me zoom out and I'll show you. Get some light there so you can see. This was the one I did by eye. And you can see the L's a little bit too far down. This R's twisted a little bit to one side. The N and the D are a little bit higher than the I and the E and the L. Where this one, the line is uniform. That is the advantage of doing a jig. Even just something as simple as a popsicle stick that gives you a line to work from. Okay? So there we have the basic shape of the letters. The next step is now to make the line where this is going to go. Well, we'll grab our pocket face again. Actually, it's not on. Let me mark where the lines are on the pocket face here real quick. Actually, my template has the lines on it. I'll use the template. If you see here, this template has the lines in place. So you take your marking pencil and just mark the line that's going to come down through the center, and then I'll take do the same with both of these. Create the line in the center. Then I will take my metal ruler, one at a time, and if you'll see that line is a little bit too close to the end, so I'm going to actually move it a little bit in more to about right here. That's why you want to make your lines a little bit more shallow. And I'll just draw a line with this marking pencil like that. Same thing with this one. That line's a little bit too close to the E, so I'll pull it in a little bit to about right there. I get it nice and straight. And then I'll use this marking pencil to mark the line. Same thing with this one. Got the lines set up right here. Line. Yeah, line's actually dead on this one. Okay, so that sets up the stage for the dyeing process now.